Hey guys, and welcome to another First Impressions video, the video game series in which we take a look at a brand new game and I give you my first thoughts and impressions. Today we're looking at Clunky Hero, which came out today in early access, and as a result there are some things that have yet to be added and some features that they are on about adding later in the future, some of which are very needed and some of which are just a nice quality of life update. The main one being the fact that the save file, you can only have one at a time at the minute, but on full release the developers do promise that you will be able to save up to 3 games in 3 separate slots, which is nice. There are a couple of visual bugs as well that I've noticed, namely with the separating of keyboard and mouse and controller. Some of the visuals there don't always line up as they should. But for the most part, I've had very few issues with the game, and I've really enjoyed my time on it, and I've really enjoyed the writing. The writing in this game is phenomenal. The game doesn't take itself too seriously, and it shows. It's kind of like the exact opposite of yesterday's game, the game of squids, the ultimate, in quotation marks, parody, whereas this is tongue-in-cheek and yet done very well, and a very well thought out game. So as always, we'll look at the options, we'll see what options are available, and then we will jump into the game and I will show you what it's got to offer. Okay, here are the options. Now, this is sort of one of the things I was talking about in the intro, where keyboard and mouse and controller, it's not entirely seamless between the two yet. When I was playing this earlier, I could see my cursor and I could use my mouse, and then I would switch to my controller and it would work fine, whereas now I can't actually see my cursor at all. However, I can still use my controller to flip between the options, so it's not a huge massive issue, but as a PC player I quite like using the keyboard and mouse, especially the mouse, in the options menu because it just makes life a little easier. That being said, we can look at the video options. You only get quality presets, and I have no idea what the presets actually change, but the game isn't too high in graphical fidelity, although what I have seen so far I very much like. I love the art style and everything, but I understand why there's not a few options, like video graphics options here, although it would be nice to see what I'm changing when I change from fantastic to good or from good to low. Then you've got your resolution, full screen and VSync. Again, it would be nice if there was a full FPS counter that you could change to have it unlimited or set it to whatever you wanted. Although the fact that VSync is there is quite nice. Sound options, you've got your music, sound effects and dialogue. The dialogue is interesting. So it is voice acted. When you see story sequences and stuff, there is a narrator. However, the actual characters in the game they're voice acted, but they're not. And you'll see that when we jump into the game. So the dialogue volume, I can understand why somebody might want to turn that down. Controls. Pretty straightforward, and the tutorial when you jump into the game for the first time is actually very good. And I like the fact that they show what it is and then also show you what you can do on the keyboard as well. The game does, in its welcome message, recommend using a gamepad, and I would 100% also recommend using a gamepad with this game. It works incredibly well, it's very smooth. And then your language options. I like the fact that language options is a flag, although maybe, just maybe, having it written underneath as well would be quite nice. But there's the options. Let's jump into this game and see what it's actually about, shall we? Alright, here we are then. Another one of the visual bugs is whenever you load in, be it from Alt-Tab in, or be it from going into a building and then like coming out the building again, it always defaults to the keyboard settings for the buttons that you need to press for a second or two, and then it will go back to coming up with the highlight for the gamepad buttons that you need to press. I don't know if it's meant to do that, but it was something that would be nice if they changed. And then it's done on this like 2.5D sort of scheme where it's a side scroller, and then you can enter other buildings. Now, with the dialogue, like I say, it's a bit weird. It's like muffles or mumbles. You don't actually hear words. So I understand why there is a dialogue volume in there, and I'm glad that they've got it in. And again, the writing is very, very good because it understands that RPGs and stuff, they make you do fetch quests just because it's padding, right? It's padding for the game. And the sarcasm and the understanding of that's what it is when you talk to people, it's made me chuckle once or twice. The writing is very, very good in this game, and it made me want to play it more. Combat is... it's a bit straightforward, and you don't have a huge amount of range. Now, obviously, you have seen that you can get new moves and new weapons from doing these quests. But to start with, your moveset is... it's alright, but the range is a bit odd, and you can't move whilst attacking either. It stops you, which is a bit awkward when you're going against targets that have a ranged ability, like the head. If you don't kill him within the first 3 shots, he fires something out of his mouth. The abilities of the enemies aren't necessarily... like, they're not problematic. Once you've learnt the moveset, it's pretty easy to get by. But either an ability to move as I'm hitting, or just a bit more range on the weapon. Again, I don't know if there's going to be more weapons down the line with a longer range, which would be nice. But it kind of takes away from the experience early on. What I will say is that your character, even with very low items, as it were, is pretty tanky. You start with 100 health, and that's plenty enough to learn the game and learn what it is you need to be doing. There are shops in the game as well, so attacking enemies to get that precious gold so you can go and buy more consumables or more weapons and armor is going to be advised. Jumping is a bit odd. You don't have a double jump, but you have a long jump, right? So if you hold the button down, you will jump higher than if you simply tap it. And I'm also getting some almost Castlevania sort of vibes where you need to go back to a zone because you can't do what you need to do yet. You've got to go out, get the ability or get the item, and then come back so you can jump higher or, you know, attack longer or whatever. The platforming on this game is rather cool though. I am a big fan. Although again, the lack of range is going to be a problem for some of the platforming later on. I also really like the fact that the game doesn't kind of tell you where it expects you to go. It kind of lets you explore. And even though it's a 2D or 2.5D sort of platforming sort of world, it's got quite a lot to it. There's a lot of depth here that you wouldn't normally expect. And I do quite like it. Overall, this is a very well fleshed out, fun, and very interactive RPG. I love how serious it doesn't take itself. I would like to see a bit more enemy variety, but again, we're in the very, very early stages of this game. And I'm very excited to see what the game has in store and what else they're going to add to it once it comes out of early access. Some features being added, some bugs being fixed here and there. Again, the bugs I've experienced haven't been game breaking. They've been more sort of annoying, right? They've been annoyances more than a game breaking bug. Other things you can do in the game. You've got your inventory, you've got your map, which isn't available just yet, and then you've got your quests, and you've got your skills. So again, there's a lot here that you can gain for your character, that you can upgrade for your character. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of potential with this game. I love the art style. I'm a really big fan of it. I would love to know in those comments down below what you think of this game as well. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Ciao, ciao.